warm welcome, dear members, to our 1291st meeting, and which I call to order. And the four-way test. May I request you please to say the four-way test? Rajiv, please zoom it up. I think the electricity sometimes with this lovely weather.
Yeah, still, it's come. It's come. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Amriti. Thank you so much. Now coming to the birthdays. On the 22nd of May, we have Rotary Poonam Verma's birthday. And 27th, Rotarian Tanu Priyapuris. No anniversaries this month. Okay, now going forward for the Rotary information. This is regarding, first of all, our Rotary Club of Delhi Garden City's COVID collection. Many, many thanks to all our dear members who, on a single appeal, have come forward with their generous support for the COVID fund. It's really wonderful of them. They felt this cause deeply and to do whatever they can for the, as a club, we can do for the unfortunate, the needy. Very nice of you all. Just the fund that just poured in. Very, very kind of you all. Appreciate that. And we have, and I'm pleased to share that we have collected around 20 lakhs. Thanks once again for your very generous support. As discussed in the board meeting, the funds will be utilized as follows. First of all, donation of tumblers to Sri Guru Singh Sabha, the Push Vihar Gurdwara. This is situated near Saket in the surrounding area there. Gurdwara Sahib Ji is in the midst of this group of colonies surrounded by the weaker sections of society and who are lodged in the LIG households. Gurdwara Sahib will be providing oxygen concentrator service from their premises to the needy and will also take the oxygen concentrator to a home where it is needed and the patient cannot come. And as well as for the patients on an SOS basis, will be able to carry serious patients from the neighborhood while providing them the oxygen concentrator service on the way to the hospital for their treatment. So that was the one service. Secondly, the donation is of equipment to St. Stephen's Hospital. Since children are most likely to suffer in the third wave, it was felt that the club should be proactive and to create a COVID ward at St. Stephen's Hospital. The club is planning to donate multi-mode monitors and syringe pumps, as this will help St. Stephen's Hospital to enable free treatment of the economically weak section children. Their monitors are essential for management of critical patients, especially in the pediatrics. In the ICUs, all patients require individual monitoring. Syringe pumps are essential to accurately deliver dosage of the IV fluids and medicines over a fixed period of time, which may be anywhere from a few minutes up to 24 hours. Okay, very, very noble service. And then donation to a Giggles Welfare Organization, a wonderful organization. Since pandemic started in March, April 2020, why is it gone off? Okay. A Giggles Welfare Organization have been serving free meals to both lunch and dinner to the community. Balance available fund will be donated and made available to Giggles, whom we have had long association and running the Rotary Club of Delhi Garden City Singer Vocational Center, the South Extension. In between, I see Geeti, welcome. Lovely to see you. How's London treating you?
You can see I'm wearing a sweater.
Welcome, nice to see you. Okay.
Thank you.
carrying on further, and the other, the donation of oxygen concentrators, which your members will be happy to know, to share with the members that the efforts of Rotary Surinder Chaudhary, we have received 2 oxygen concentrators of 5 liters each, and we will be donating it to Goonj, which is an NGO doing commendable work for the earth during this COVID time, and with the condition, of course, that the same may be given back to the club after its use is over or upon notice when we need it. Thanks to very much to Nandini Sanidi and Rotarian Surinder Chaudhary. Today, on the 28th, we have a club assembly to discuss club matters. Today we have our guest speaker, very interesting, Stevie Clayton. And it gives me pleasure to introduce her to you. Stevie Clayton has a law degree from the University of New England, Australia, an MA in Global Diplomacy from SOS in the University of London. And she has just completed a Master of International Public Health specializing in infectious diseases from the University of New South Wales in Australia. Besides that, she's a certified mediator. She has a diploma as a company director. And in 2003, she was awarded an Order of Australia Medal, OAM, for community service and services to law reforms. Stevie has had a varied work career, including in the public service as the CEO of Australia's largest HIV/AIDS NGO, a startup CEO of an NGO in the education sector, on the board of a multi-billion-dollar health organization, and running her own consultancy business. She has lived in Australia, Israel, Palestine, Egypt, Lebanon, and now India. Above all this, however, is a passion for good food, whether eating in fine dining restaurants, enjoying the best of street food, or cooking gourmet meals for friends. It is sharing that passion for food that drives her. In the short session, Stevie will show us how easy it is to make wonderful, delightful, delicious Italian food at home. Together, we will make rosemary thyme and garlic focaccia with an anchovy dip, a simple but tasty garlic chili tomato rocket pasta with fresh capellini, and finish with the best and simplest and delicious tiramisu, wow, you will ever find. And of course, a couple of cocktails to finish off the meal. That's why I requested all members, please hold a glass of wine while Stevie does this for us. Stevie, welcome to our club. And I'd like to give over to you. This is the Italian dinner during lockdown.
Thank you very much, Sahinda. I, as Sahinda said, love food, and it's killing me, the lockdown, not being able to go out to restaurants. So I've been trying to cook a different gourmet meal every night to keep myself busy. And I just thought when I was making an Italian meal that I would make a video of it to share with my friends at the Women's International Club. And I showed it to them, and Sunita loved it so much, she asked for me to show it to you as well and to share this night with you. I, of course, said, why does anyone want to see this video of me cooking? It was just for my friends at the Women's International Club. But she reminded me that in these really difficult times, it's nice to have, 40 minutes where you switch off and think about something else for a change. So it's a 23-minute video that I'm going to show you in a second, and then we can have a talk at the end. I want to tell you that it is meant to be very light-hearted. So I hope you'll take it in that spirit. It is about cooking, but it's also about having a bit of fun and making a couple of cocktails. And of course, I hope you can understand my accent. I know that Indians have a lot of trouble with Australian accents, and particularly mine. I tried to talk slowly in the video, and so hopefully you'll be able to follow it. That's it for now, and I might put on the video for you. And I hope I'm going to be able to share screen.
Yes, ma'am, you have already the access of sharing the.
Terrific, thank you.
Yes.
Hi, every Friday night is pasta night at my place, and so I'm going to show you what we're making for tonight, which is a basic but very tasty tomato and rocket pasta with chilli and garlic. We're going to start by putting the tomatoes in the oven. There's 2 large handfuls of cherry tomatoes here, and what I'm going to do is put on some olive oil, some salt and pepper, and a big splash of balsamic vinegar. Okay, then that goes into the oven at 150 degrees fan forced, and it will take about an hour to slowly cook. While that's happening, we're going to make the pasta. So, traditionally you would have 100 grams of flour and 1 55-gram egg per person, but I like smaller meals and less eggs. So what I've got is 170 grams of flour here for 2 people, and it's a mixture of 00 Italian flour with some semolina flour. And into that I'm putting 1 egg that's mixed up with 1 tablespoon of olive oil, a pinch of salt, and 3 tablespoons of water. So just put that straight in, made a little hole in the middle of the flour, mix it in, and then you gradually just move it around until all of that egg mixes with the flour. It's pretty messy in the beginning, but gradually, as you keep doing this, it'll all start coming together into one lump. When you get there, then we're going to turn it out onto a lightly floured surface and knead it for about 10 minutes until it's all come together and it's a nice, shiny, smooth, but elastic ball of pasta. So we'll come back then and show you what it looks like. It always seems pretty dry in the beginning when you start, but the more you knead, it gradually comes together and it loses that sort of texture of sand. It's 10 minutes later, and after kneading the pasta dough, you can see it's much smoother and it's elastic, springs back when you touch it. So what I'm going to do is wrap that in some cling wrap and just leave it on the bench for about 30 minutes, and then it'll be ready to roll out. In the meantime, we're going to make some focaccia. In this bowl is 2.5 cups of flour. I've used a French red flour that's used for baguettes and croissants, but any maida would do. And in this bowl is a cup of warm water, a tablespoon of active yeast, dry active yeast, a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar, and I've left that setting for about 10 minutes. So you can see it's a bit bubbly on the top, which tells you it's ready to use. So I'm going to take some of the flour and mix it into that mixture. Just get that a little damp. You don't have to get the lumps out or anything, we're just giving it the first mix. And then I'm going to add that into the rest of the flour. Okay, and then we mix that into a dough. It's got to get it mixed enough to turn it out and knead. Just want to get it all to come together. Now when we turn it out, this sort of bread we don't have to knead for like 10 minutes. We just knead it for like 10 or 12 times to make it come together. Once it's all into one lump and it's given that really gentle kneading, then what I'm going to do is put it into another bowl that's been oiled with olive oil, put some cling wrap on the top, and then leave it for about an hour to rise. It should double in size in that time. Now, I'll get back to that and finish that in a second. What I want to do now is show you the mixture that we're going to put together with that focaccia. So, into this pan, I'm going to turn on the gas, on a low flame, and I'm putting in 1/4 cup of olive oil. This is 2 large cloves of garlic that have been grated or minced. 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme. I couldn't get fresh rosemary, so it's only a teaspoon of dried rosemary. If it's fresh, it would have been another tablespoon. And 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Now I'm just going to cook that on a gentle heat for about 5 to 10 minutes until really the oil is infused with those herbs. Okay, and the last thing I want to show you before we stop this segment is the tomatoes. So they should now be ready to come out of the oven. And as you can see, they're wrinkly, sizzling, beautiful. You can smell tomato all around the kitchen. So I'll let them sit for a while now. And I'll see you again when we've finished kneading the bread and it's risen. It's 30 minutes later now, and what I've done is cut the pasta into 3 pieces, just flatten it out a bit with some flour, and I'm going to put it through the pasta maker. So you start on the widest hole and wind it through. Fold it over and take it through again. And then you go up one to one thinner spot and wind it through, except that it's not. There we go. Okay, and then you fold it back on itself, back to the widest slot and through again. And you keep doing this 5 or 6 times. And when you've done that, then you take it all the way to the end, to the smallest setting, come back and then through once more, and then you're ready to roll it out. So I've already done that with this sheet, and this is what it ends up like. So as you do it, you'll feel the texture change. It's much smoother and silkier, and you know it's ready to roll out then. So to make the capellini is like a very thin spaghetti. What we're going to do is change to this roller, start rolling it through, and then catch it on here. Oops, I should have went on the outside. And there you see the capellini. And I'm just going to hang it up because I don't need it for a little while, so I'll hang it up, make sure it's spread out so it doesn't stick, and just let it dry a bit. Okay, now the bread's been rising for an hour, and so now we're going to put it together. This is the container that I'm making it in, and some of that beautiful oil we made, some went into the bread, and now we're spreading it around the bottom of the pan so that it'll help to give a nice crust on the bottom. Okay, we'll tip the bread out. We'll spread it out to fill the pan. Fill it evenly and put lots of holes in the top, right, with your fingers. Unless you've got long nails, then you can use the end of a wooden spoon. Then the last of the oil is just drizzled all over the top. Okay. And then we're just going to leave that to sit for another 20 minutes for it to rise, and then it can go into the oven. So the focaccia has been in the oven at 200 degrees fan forced for 20 minutes, and you can see how beautiful and golden it is with all those herbs spread over the top. And while that was baking, I've made this traditional Italian anchovy dip called bagna calda. And now it's 5 o'clock, which of course means it's cocktail hour. So while the bread's cooling, I'm going to quickly make Negronis. So I love these beautiful round ice cubes. And in goes 1 shot each of Campari, gin and vermouth. Here we go. It's the Campari. Gin, I love greater than gin, a great Indian gin. and the vermouth. Now you can use red, which is what I'm using today if you like it a bit sweeter, or you can use the white one if you like it a bit drier. I just think the red gives it such a great colour. And really that's where it ends, but you know, as I've gotten older, I like to let my drinks down a bit, so I just put in a dash of soda. Okay, so that's the Negronis ready. Now it's time to cut the bread, and let's see how well it came out. So look, oh, I broke it. But if you look at that, you can see it's beautiful and crisp on the top and the bottom and soft and fluffy on the inside, just how it should be. So now we're off to have cocktails, focaccia and dip, and I'll be back for the main course. Oh my God, focaccia was so good, especially with the anchovy dip. If you don't eat anchovies, you could put it with maybe a warm white bean dip, and Nigella Lawson has got a great recipe on her website that you can just get from there. Or indeed, it's got so much oil and herbs in it, it just stands alone, so you can just eat it the way it is. Also, this may seem like it's been a really quick cooking video to you, but in fact the person filming for me has to keep leaving for Zoom meetings. So this is actually stretched for hours, and I may have had more than one cocktail. So let's see how the cooking goes. So we're up to the pasta, and we're going to do the sauce first. So some olive oil, lots of olive oil, and then on with the gas, sort of a medium-high heat. And what we're going to do is we've got 2 big cloves of garlic. You probably guessed by now that I like garlic, it's been in everything. And some fresh red hot Thai chilies. I like hot food, so there's about 4 chilies there. You might like more or less. Then we're going to put into this some fresh, you know we cooked a whole lot of tomatoes in the oven. They've got a really deep, rich flavour. But what we want now is some fresh, halved cherry tomatoes that are going to pick up the taste of the garlic. So they're going in with just a little salt and pepper. We're just going to toss them around a bit and let that start cooking. Maybe just a little bit more oil. Okay. Now the pasta goes in to cook. Because it's fresh pasta, only takes a few minutes to cook. Because this is dried a bit, it might take 3 or 4 minutes. Some people put salt or oil in the water. I just leave it plain. Okay, toss the tomatoes around a bit. We just want those cherry tomatoes to pick up the taste of the oil and the garlic and the chili. Just pasta a bit. What I was told with fresh pasta is once it rises to the top, you probably need about a minute, and then it's going to be ready. If you were here, you would smell all that garlic and tomato and chili right now. Okay, so now we're going to add to that the slow cooked ones, and just want to make sure I get all that sauce. This is all the tomatoes cooking. Beautiful. Now just turn that down a bit and let that cook while we wait for the pasta. Okay, it's nearly cooked. So now we've got a big handful of fresh peppery rocket here. In that goes. I'll just toss it around a bit. We just want it to wilt. We don't want to cook it too much. put the lid on so that it wilts a bit better. And we'll see how the pasta's going. There's really only one way to tell whether your pasta's cooked, and that's to get a bit and taste it. It's pretty close. Just give it a little bit more. Okay. The rocket smells fantastic. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to just transfer the capellini straight across so that we keep some of the cooking water, and that helps to make the sauce without needing too much more oil or cream or anything like that. Toss that around. How beautiful is that? It's almost Christmas colours, isn't it? Red and green. Okay, lid on for a second. That's ready. Just need to finish cooking the pasta. So you take it out of the water when it's still al dente, and then you let it cook for a little while with the other ingredients so that it picks up all of the taste. It's nearly done. Okay. Whoa. Because I'm not the neatest flavour in the world, but it's all going to look good in a minute. Okay. Those beautiful tomatoes. More. On there. Okay. And then we're going to dress it. So, the black pepper, some beautiful Greek feta, lemon zest, oh, I love that smell of the fresh lemon, just filling the kitchen. And of course, a little freshly grated Parmigiano. There you have it. Chili, tomato, rocket, garlic, capellini. So last but not least, we're going to make dessert. And this is, I tell you, the best recipe for tiramisu you're ever going to find. And of course, while you're seeing this at the end of the video, it really happened in the morning because you make it first thing in the morning, so it's got time to set during the day. A couple of tips for making tiramisu is you never want to have the biscuits dry, so make sure that you have plenty of coffee and plenty of booze ready to dip the biscuits into. It's really simple to make. So what we've got in this bowl, first of all, is I've mixed together about 400 mils of mascarpone with 100 mils of a good standard cooking cream. And you only beat that for a minute until it's all mixed. Then in this bowl, I've beat together 3 egg yolks with a few drops of a nice vanilla essence or natural vanilla and 100 grams of caster sugar. And you can see you just beat it for a few minutes and it's sort of like a loose mousse. So now it's just about folding that into the cream and mascarpone mixture. Let's get that all out. So we're just going to fold that through till it's all nicely mixed. I'm going to be gentle with it, but get a nice mixture so we don't see any of the eggs separate from the cream and mascarpone. We're nearly there. Okay, so what we're going to do is take about half of that mixture and line the bottom of the dish that we're going to put the mascarpone in, or the tiramisu. So nice layer in the bottom. Make sure it's all covered. And then the biscuits. So here is 4 large espresso coffees, so it's about 400 mils of coffee with 6 tablespoons of Kahlua. Obviously, if you don't drink alcohol, you can leave the Kahlua out, but you'll need to add more coffee to make up for it. And then we've got Zuavadia biscuits, which I discovered in Delhi are called ladies' fingers. And what we're going to do is just coat them in that so it soaks up a bit of the liquid and then start laying them out. Whoops. And you need to make a whole layer of coating in the bottom. Once we've created this layer, we put the rest of the mascarpone mixture on the top and then put it in the fridge to chill for a few hours. Then last of all, we will sprinkle on some powdered chocolate on the top. So I'll see you back when we're ready to put the chocolate on. Okay, so the tiramisu's been in the fridge for about 4 hours, 5 hours now, so it's nicely set. Just putting the cocoa on the top of it, ready to serve it. Okay, look at that. Now, let's have a look. Yum, look at that, it's just beautiful. That is so good. And I had leftover coffee and Kahlua. I didn't want it to go to waste, so I added some vodka and made an espresso martini. So cheers, and I hope you enjoy Friday night Italian dinner.
Cheers.
And that's it. Short and sharp.
Thank you, thank you. The tiramisu, gosh, looks so tempting.
Oh, it's very good. Very good.
Very nice.
But I was so nervous making it. I actually made a lot of mistakes in the process.
Since
Like
it's
the
been-
tiramisu, I used too much coffee and it never set. I was trying to hide the fact that it was actually dripping off the spoon. But it still tasted fantastic.
Are the ingredients look simple enough? We get them here. Yes, there's nothing special about ingredients that are difficult to find. You get them all here. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I would have got them at INA or Khan Market.
Yes, yes, very nice. And since it's recorded, I suppose we can get a recipe and then try it also ourselves.
If you can't get rocket, what can you use as a substitute?
They have rocket here everywhere. But it's basically about having a green thing. Rocket's good because it's spicy as well as green. You could put in spinach to the same, like baby spinach, but you won't have that sort of bite.
No, you will not have that bite.
That's
See,
right.
rocket has a fabulous bite.
Yes, all these ingredients have
Ajay, we can have everybody unmute.
special flavor.
Yeah. So thank you, Stevie. It was wonderful. The demonstration was fantastic. I just have a question. What kind of, how much yeast would you use for the focaccia? Would it be like an 8-gram sachet?
Yeah, probably. I used a Australian dessert spoon, which
Okay.
is 15 mils. I think it's probably about the same as your standard little sachets that you get of active yeast, or maybe a little bit more.
Okay. And we can use regular flour. Is that fine?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, regular flour.
Yep,
So only
that's
for the pasta, you've used semolina and regular flour, right?
Yes, but for that dish, I use that mixture. But for other things, I might use just flour and water, or you can use just semolina and water, or semolina and eggs. It's just you get a different texture.
Okay.
For a starter, usually when you first start making pasta, you will make one that's just basically semolina and water. And so it's much firmer and takes a bit more kneading. And then you grate it. But for North Indian dishes, North Italian dishes, they tend to use egg pasta.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, Stevie, I must mention here that in India we have a dish which in North India is known as sevaiya, and in South India it's known as seve. It's made out of rice flour. Now, this is available freely in packets these days, but back home in the South, it was considered infra-dig to use these thin, spindly rice noodles from a packet. So it was all made at home. And I remember there was a machine, there was a kind of a hand-worked machine which had a long log on top for a person to sit on one end, and on the other end there was a metal thing with perforated holes at the bottom and a lid on top to press down the white flour. Now the rice flour salt was added to the rice flour, and it was cooked and then cooled, and then this rice flour was put into the metal. Somebody sat on the wooden portion and put the rice flour into the metal portion, pushed down the lid, all the while sitting on the wooden portion onto a platter below. Then this rice flour was cooled and separated, and then it was, it could be, it could be made into a savory dish, depending upon what we call tadka in India, or what you add to the top with oil, whatever spices you want to add to the top in oil, or it could be dried in the sun. And it could be used as what is known as a kheer in North India. You cook it with milk and sugar and dry fruit, and it's served as a dessert. So it's very, Indians are very similar to Italians in many ways. And I've seen this being made in my house. Of course, today I get it in packets from the shops, but this was made from scratch like this.
Anyone else? Question?
One of the cats.
Yes, it's one of the cats. She always joins Zoom meetings.
So actually that was the idea, that something which we could all try out at home in these confined times, because we've had so much of subjects like vaccination and looking after your immunity and looking after, your mental balance and stability during this time of the year. So I thought, yes, how to even look after our, the finer senses. Yes, Geeti, you have to unmute yourself. Geeti, please unmute.
Sorry, I thought that Rajiv had muted all of us. My apologies, but thank you for noticing. I just wanted to say that it was really delightful, and could we have the recipes, please?
Geeti, I'll send
them.
I will. Geeti, I'll send them to you. I have them.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was wants it, then can take it from there.
And also, I wasn't clear, Stevie, what were the biscuits you'd used, which you said you find in Delhi for the tiramisu.
Yeah, they called them ladies' fingers at the shop that I went to in Khan Market. They're basically about that big, and they're sort of a little bit sugary on the outside, and they're very light in the middle. So they absorb a lot of liquid quickly.
If you happen to have a packet, can you tell us the brand, what it is? Because that's a very important
I might have a packet. Let me try and get one.
Here we go.
As is the mascarpone. I mean, they are all couple of important features.
Yeah, they're vital because they just break down to nothing, and so you get a layer that's sort of like everyone's had tiramisu. It's sort of like it's more like cake than biscuits once it's sat with the liquid in it.
By the way, this winter I grew my own thyme and my own rosemary.
That's fantastic.
Fresh rosemary into the potatoes. And it was fun. Oh, okay. Oh, girl.
Perfect.
Yeah.
They're exactly the ones I've got.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can get this everywhere. Khan Market, Defense Colony, INA, everywhere.
Okay, now we know where we're going to go when this lockdown is over. Stevie,
absolutely.
I want your address, Anu.
Yes, absolutely. I would love it.
You, my dear lady, didn't tell us about this, about your aspects and interests. Now we're coming knocking on your door.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it. Yeah.
You know, Stevie, just tell me one thing that, I hope it won't be like a mixture of drinks, because what you had showed us with the cocktails earlier, and then later on with the dessert, we had another, what was it? Was it a wine based? I mean, like, it won't be like too much of a mixture of drinks?
Oh, no, not for an Australian. Australians drink a lot, right? So what we had with the meal was a Negroni, very classic Italian cocktail with the entree. And then we actually had a nice Pinot Grigio with the main course and Espresso Martini with dessert.
Oh.
Sylvia, so thrilled, you know. I mean, like, everything very made.
With Sylvia,
I understand, Stevie, because we lived in Sydney for 6 years, and I know, I mean, how much we enjoyed our drinks every evening. And, you know, you guys know how to, you're very, very good in classifying what you need to drink with every meal.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other thing I think about food in Sydney is the fact that it's such a multicultural society.
Yes,
and so when you go out for dinner, you go, okay, tonight will we have Vietnamese or Thai or Greek or Japanese, and there's every sort of restaurant everywhere.
Will you be sharing the recipes of the drinks? Of the cocktails?
They're not actually there, but I could quickly put them together and send them.
Please do, because if we're going to be cooking what you cooked tonight, then we need to accompany that with a proper drinks.
Yes. All right. I'll quickly write them down and send them to you, Sita. You're going to.
Well, it's been a wonderful program. Really, we've enjoyed it.
Very nice.
And of course, you can get the. Very nice. Very nice.
Lovely. Very charming and very warm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lovely, Stevie. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure. See you all, and I'll quickly write out those cocktail recipes and send them to Sita.
Thank you. Thank you, Stevie.
I'll forward them for you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.